Welcome to MedShark Insider with Bill Fukui, your expert host on all things medical marketing and SEO.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of MedShark Insider. Today, I am graced with the presence of one of my favorite people in the medical marketing industry. I've known her for probably longer than I've known any other person in this space. We were marketing back when you didn't even have the internet. You didn't have Google. You didn't even have websites at the time. So we are both longtime veterans of the cosmetic and medical marketing industry. And I think she's going to bring us some great insights today. So my guest today is Candace Crowe, who is the founder of Candace Crowe Design. And she's got some great products and really cutting edge services that I think one of the things that I always liked about Candace was she always stayed doing different things. She doesn't stay still very long, both physically or as a business, which I always admire. And today I wanted to chat with you, Candace, about some planning stuff. But you and I, but a little background for the audience. Have people share a little bit about your experience in working with practices and helping them really not just do advertising or marketing, but really on the health of the practice, the business side of the practice.
Absolutely. So we started in this area in 1999, and marketing was truly a dirty word back then.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
Yeah, patient education was fine, but marketing, no. And along the way, practices started to market, and they started to talk about branding, really didn't quite understand branding, thought it was maybe a royalty-free picture, that was their brand. Remember those days? And little by little, they've become marketing savvy, many of these practices. And some of these practices actually have a marketing director. Some of them don't. So there's still this really wide variety. And I kind of compare it to fitness, of course, right? Everybody has a different goal in life of how fit they want to be, or if they don't even want to be fit. So when you go to the gym or design your workout plan, you design it according to what your goals are and what your strengths are and what you enjoy and what you're good at. So when I try to help practices, I really try to tailor everything according to what is right for them. Not necessarily what do I need to sell or what is popular today, like Instagram or just follow the crowd stuff, but really hone in on what is right for them. And then it's a beautiful, beautiful result. If you don't believe in marketing, it's probably not going to work for you.
Candace, you kind of, when you said that you're passionate about that, I think you have a will. There are some practices that almost will success. And if you believe in it and have a passion towards it, you were just talking to me about your running and how you were able to, and you got to tell that story. My goodness, I was so impressed.
I don't know. Some people think I'm a little crazy when they find out some of the things.
but no, it's the will. The
so
point.
Yeah. All right. Will. So among a lot of other ultra things that I've done, one is I've run 64 miles within a 24-hour period, and you don't run all those 64 miles at one time. You train for it, you make a plan for it. When are you going to eat? Do you have the right shoes? All those kind of things. So there's a lot of pre-planning that goes into that and training. But when you do it, you decide, you cross the finish line before you start. And you cross it right up here, right? You cross the finish line.
Point.
And then sometimes, like in the middle of the night, you run through the night even, you look up at the moon and you go, oh, it's so beautiful world. And you let that carry you. And then you hit another wall and you go, oh, this sucks. My feet hurt. You start crying or whatever, but you just get up and you take the next step. And sometimes it's only 10 feet at a time. But then you cross the finish line and you go, oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
And we can do more than we ever think we can. mean, we cut ourselves so short, especially in this time of COVID. We're going, it sucks or whatever it is. And ding, this is an opportunity. Not every day is going to feel like that, but we're going to hit those walls where you sit down in the middle of the trail and you cry. Yeah. And then you get right back up and you make it the next 10 feet.
Yeah. Actually, when you're talking about hitting walls and stuff, I really wanted to talk to you about planning, because I actually saw one of your documents that you created, which is the 4-hour, planning guide. And I'd like to talk more about that. But just planning in general, I think planning helps people when they do run it, or practices when they do run into those walls. When they hit a wall, or they're losing momentum, or they're not being consistent with the things, and they know it. It's developing good habits. And I think the planning stuff really does, help people stay on track, especially during these crazy times with COVID. What would you say, as you're working with your clients that are going through their plans and what they're doing for this coming year, or what they've done in the past year looking back, what advice do you give practices as they're building their plans for 2021, when we're seeing crazy things like increases in infection rates, and it's spiking right now. I see light at the end of the tunnel, but we got to get there yet. So what do you tell practices that are in the midst of all that?
So first, I like them to take inventory. Where are we spending money? Who are our vendors? Sometimes, you've signed up for a couple of years for something and you aren't using it, and you can get rid of that, whatever. Then,
there's a lot of that. I think in a lot of practices, once they actually go through, what are we paying for?
Right.
And they're like, what is this? What is this?
And then
nobody knows.
Yeah, maybe even call each one.
Yes.
Because sometimes you may not be using it, but it could be helpful. And I don't like just jumping ship to jump ship. Like maybe it's just because you haven't spent time with that vendor, or that vendor hasn't reached out to you.
Good point.
So not just jumping ship, but take inventory, really decide on the ones that you feel you have a connection with and that can help you.
Right.
And then call them and have a virtual cup of coffee with them. Get to know them. There we go. I've got clients that stay really close. And I'm not afraid to tell them I appreciate them, I love them, I know their families even. We're in this together. Real good client and vendor relationship. It's a win-win. It's not a vendor take or a practice take. It's a win-win.
You almost, and you're good at that, Candace. You it's not a talking up or down.
No.
It is like this. You have to have that kind of relationship and trust when you're doing planning, giving guidance. And they know that you don't just have a sales agenda behind your conversation.
Right. So then we have the planner to go through, and we're glad to help you go through that. But really work on the existing relationships, the relationships with your employees first, believe it or not. Your employees, invest in them. Don't ask them to do too much. Make sure they're safe. Make sure they have the tools they need to do their jobs. If we invest in our employees, just think about that. Like if America actually invested in small business and the small businesses invested in their employees, we wouldn't need a PPP loan, right?
Very true.
And then after that, the first step is your existing patients. They've been the ones that have helped you get this far. In our office, we have a timeline from 1999 to 2020 right now. And on that, we have a little over 400 people we've helped, almost 500 over the last 21 years. I have as many pictures of all those. I have over 100 pictures of all those clients on that timeline, so that every time I walk in the door, I go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And they're the people that have paid my employees' mortgages.
Oh, yeah.
They put my employees' kids in school. They're the people that I want to serve first.
Right.
And do anything in our power to help.
Mm-hmm.
So same with the practice. Invest in your existing patients first. By doing that, you create better loyalty,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully, you can ask for some reviews. That'll grow your Google reviews, and then ask for word of mouth. That's the old, the word of mouth, the old fashioned. You don't have to spend any money that way. You just invest in kindness and appreciation.
That if you're including, if you're building a plan, a marketing plan, and taking inventory of those things, there is no question. I think that is the one area by far that is the most overlooked and quite frankly, taken for granted. It's just, I'm so good. Everybody comes to me because I'm so good. My word of mouth, it's because I'm so great. But I think if practices, even if that's the truth, even if that is why they keep coming back, you develop those return patients or those lifetime patients, that's great, But imagine if we incorporated that into a marketing plan to take it to the next level.
Yes.
You don't have to break the bank to see those things return huge folds of ROI. So a question, when it comes to building the plan for and including that that practice, relationship and repeat referrals kind of stuff, what would you recommend in terms of what do they need to put in that plan, that, the actions that they need to be doing, technology that they should be investing in, or strategies to help accelerate the things that, quite honestly, healthy practices get them even by not doing a whole lot?
So I'm not afraid of work.
Uh-huh.
And some of this takes some work.
Uh-huh.
So
Good.
One of the exercises I like to do is have the owner or the principal of the practice or the patient care coordinator or one of them write out the patient experience as it is.
Okay.
What is the patient experience, from, contact to going home.
Right.
Write that out and then evaluate how you can improve that. How you can implement kindness into it, and really empathy. Empathy is important. Right now, I was writing some notes before we got on here, and one of them, beauty and art feel good, like soup and ice cream do when in time of stress.
I love it.
Beauty is always in style.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And maybe some of the marketing has more of a shift towards art. Maybe it's, and my background is art, so I do lean towards beauty and art. But that costs nothing.
Right.
That right there costs nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It just is a time investment.
Some of the things that you also do in terms of not only just externally advertising, like paid ads or SEO or those types of things, which are all important, but it is about, those points in time, those engagements that we have that either lead to conversions or leads to people taking actions to actually refer us.
Exactly.
So a lot of the things that I've talked to you about, and I know you do a lot of things inside the practice, internal marketing kinds of stuff. What are things that practices need to be looking for if they don't have these things internally in their practice? What could they be taking inventory on the inside of their practice?
So that's a really good question. And I may be biased, but I really go back to the day of before and after photos.
Oh, that never goes out of style, Candace. I'm going to tell you, that doesn't go out of style.
No, in 1999, it would be usually the doctor's wife, because it was
Uh-huh.
mostly male doctors then. They'd have these albums and they'd flip through them sitting beside the patient. And
Mhm.
they'd talk about this photo and they'd talk about that photo and they'd flip and they'd create a relationship.
Mhm.
And that was beautiful. And then
Mhm.
we got online and, we put these clinical photos online.
Yeah.
Clinical photos don't really transfer that great to online. You can't flip through it and create a relationship, and you
Yeah.
can't say, well, that lady right there, this is a true story. That lady right there got liposuction and a breast lift. She was for 17 years unable to show herself without clothes to her husband.
Uh-huh.
And she got it. And there you go, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a story to be told right there.
Yes.
So
Absolutely.
before, just be careful when you post or upload your before and afters that they present well to the viewer. They're not just clinically wonderful, but they also present well to the viewer. So that means they're cropped evenly, they're well lit, they don't have these little, oh gosh, their pants pulled down and across,
Mhm.
think how that must feel to a woman to be looking at that kind of a photo.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. I think one of the suggestions I would have to practices when they say, what do you want in your before and after photos? What should we be doing? And, part of it is I'll send them to several different websites. And I said, check out these before and after photos and you tell me what you like. You
Nice.
tell me what appeals to you. You tell me which ones, and almost inevitably, they always gravitate to the same ones. Oh, this one's so much better. This one's, and I said, why? Why do you like that one? Oh, because look at the pictures are really clear. I can see, I said, yeah, you can see some shadows. It doesn't look so flat. So they're using professional lighting, things like that. So I would, have them do that exercise. And then all of a sudden they're like, now they're putting themselves in the shoes of their their patrons,
Right.
and when that happens, you start looking at things a little bit differently than you do as a surgeon or as a practice administrator. Sometimes you look at them as a consumer,
Yes.
which is what this is all about. If we're trying to appeal to them,
Yeah.
I think the one other thing is you kind of mentioned that the lighting and the cropping and all that kind of stuff. If you don't have those types of things in your plan, put them there. If you need to make an improvement in your before and after photos, put that in your plan.
Yeah.
Okay. What are the things when you're saying taking inventory? I don't think it's just the services. It's what do we have? Let's check out our website. What do we
Right.
need? What in our website needs to be changed? Maybe we don't need a whole overhaul, but man, that gallery really is. It's not good on mobile. It's not good on anything. So let's
And
put a plan together.
yeah, it's the number one most viewed area of your website. Number one, for, I guess, 2001 maybe was our first website. Since then, on almost every single analytics, the before and after gallery is the number one most viewed.
Yes. So one of the things that I know you guys offer is that one area that focuses on galleries. Because I agree with you on the gallery side. The problem is that a lot of practices, they've developed their galleries and they're pretty extensive. I've got one client who's got, when we actually went through his whole before and after galleries, he had 1,000 images in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he had 1,000 before and after photos in there.
Were they quality or they just?
They were pretty good. They were all pretty
Wow.
consistent. He was pretty good about it, but he wanted to change the platform that they were using, how they were functioning, and what he can do with them. And so that was the challenge. Is man, that was like the barrier was, man, that is a lot of work. That's big
probably
project.
like 2 weeks work right there.
Yeah, that's a big project to migrate that kind of stuff. what do you say for practices that have those kinds of things that become a barrier from, from putting those into their plans because they just don't want to, invest the time or resources to do it. But you and I know that, man, that one area is the one area that they do spend most of their time on when they visit their websites.
Yeah, that's a real tough question because you have to be willing to invest time in that.
Mm-hmm.
In 2013, we created a WordPress plugin that would actually move with the client. I don't want to be self-promotional in this, so maybe we can defer some of that to the footnotes or whatever, but we are a marketing firm and a boutique software firm.
Mm-hmm.
So over the years, we've created different pieces of software, and a before and after gallery is one of those. And the initial reason we created it was that you create it once. It can move with you if you move website vendors. And if you don't want to keep with the software we created before Bragbook, we actually export everything for you and give it to you.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want you, like I know the value of $1.
Right.
I really do. I was raised with that, and I raised 4 sons alone, and every dollar counted. And so I bring that into our company philosophy that everything has to have value and everything has a relationship. So there you go. But
yeah. So when you're talking about, the taking inventory and in building up your plans, and kind of those relationships that you have, we all know that those things make a difference. But a lot of the practices that really haven't overcome the barrier of taking the time, you've got we talked about the 4-hour, planning guide that you have, that 4 hours, they never set the 4 hours aside to do it. Okay. Do you have any examples or something that would compel a practice to say, this is worth the time to do? I mean, do you have some clients or some experience where, we can convince somebody that the time it takes to do this is absolutely will pay back in spades if you do it right from the get-go and set up a good plan?
So, Bill, I would love to put some numbers to this after, this conversation. But I do know from our experience about, 5 or 6 years ago, previous to 5 or 6 years ago, clients would just call us and ask us to do something. We do that, and it was sporadic. It was like, okay, practice has time or money this month, they don't the next month. It was, and it caused frustration for me, it caused frustration for them, and it didn't create the best ROI possible. So how do we overcome this? And so I asked a certain select group of our clients, would they be willing to go on a plan with me?
Gotcha.
A monthly plan. And that was kind of the start of the planner for me. And we went through and created plans for them by the quarter.
Okay.
And so then we found that they enjoyed it and we enjoyed it. And we didn't get all this bunch up at one time and couldn't service them well. And we could kind of adjust as needed. And so then we kind of moved into this annual program that they just we've done year after year now, where we can say January was like this, how do we adjust this January? So we can kind of compare like that. So then I thought, well, I do love the industry. It's it's provided my kids' college. It's it's been my family. Why don't I create it into a planner and a course? And so I gave the course at ASAPS, and Cientra uses it, and some other places use it. But I created it into a booklet and just gave it out at all the meetings. And I don't think anybody did it.
Really?
I really don't. I mean, I offered, free consultation. You don't have to buy anything. I just want you to make a plan. You'll be happier. Your vendor will be happier.
Mm-hmm.
So my hope with this is that maybe somebody takes us up on it and does it.
Yeah, I think, and I do, I will say, I've got, off the top of my head, I've got 3 practices that really, not only do they put together the plan, they live it. It's kind of like what you're talking about, what when you train and everything, you live that. You live, and you keep people accountable for the different areas of the plan. You put deadlines, you make it smart. So it's, defined, it's measurable, there's accountability, there's a time frame, those types of things. And I will say those practices, I'm going to tell you, within about a 5-year period, they've more than tripled.
Absolutely. And maybe I wasn't totally clear on that. The ones that I, presented it to in the course, I don't think anybody did. But the handful of ones that we walk through that are monthly clients, they love it. They know we've got their back. They can call us at the drop of a hat, but we also have that plan.
Yeah.
And I would have to agree, those are probably, that is probably an accurate ROI that you're talking about.
Yeah. It made a huge difference.
Huge.
And it even changed the dynamics of our conversations.
Our relationship.
Yes, it changed the relationship. Now all of a sudden we had a collaborative spirit. A collaborative spirit that is, as opposed to, there's always this, when you're dealing with quote vendors, there's always this, okay, what is he trying to sell me now? And I even used to get that practice that would say, every time I talk to him, your consultant, he's trying to sell me something else. I said, whoa, time out. You've got to change how you're looking at this.
Yeah.
This is not about selling you services. This is a collaborative, trust of practice development and building. Okay. And if you're wanting somebody to partner with, that's the relationship that you have to have if you're wanting to, us to continue to bring opportunities. It's not a sale. This is bringing opportunities that wasn't on your radar, that wasn't on your horizon. And we're just bringing it up and let's talk about it. Does it make sense? If it doesn't, let's not even go there.
Right.
But not addressing it is a failure of opportunity that I think we leave money on the table way too often, simply because we just never bring it to their attention.
Yes. And, it takes a long time to really know this industry.
Yes, it is.
I mean, I'll bet you're the same way. You can be in a hotel lobby and you go, that's a plastic surgeon right there.
Oh, yeah. Yes, exactly.
Patient care coordinator right there.
I could just tell by the way that they look.
Yeah, you go, it's like family.
Yeah. So I would say this. I know I'm taking up more of your time, but I'd like to get one morsel, because as practices, I know, because you're already investing in the planning guide and stuff like that, you get the fact that this is not a mercenary thing. This is something where the practice, even more so today than even when we first started, they have to participate so much more in social media, in content, in reviews, in pretty much even their website, blogging. They got to be doing, the practice needs to be doing some stuff. It's not just hiring and paying money and just make me money. That's not how this works anymore. So you get that. And then when you're dealing with practices, you understand they don't have unlimited amounts of time and resource to do things. So what would you say, for a practice that is busy, I've got a practice, patient coordinator, patient counselor, who does our internal marketing. Okay. She does our social media. She does all these other, all these things, but she's like stressed. Can't get not enough time in the day. I'm trying to do all these things. What kind of advice can you give somebody like that so that they can focus and concentrate on the things that's going to, it's that 80-20 rule. What 20% of the things that you could be doing that's going to generate that 80%?
Whew. First of all, assigning marketing to the patient care coordinator is a risky.
Okay, good point. That's a
risky.
Great point.
Because you're taking time away from sales.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And if you're asking her to make more sales and taking time away from sales, it's, kind of every time she makes the sales, it shoots herself in the foot. She doesn't have enough time to spend with marketing.
Yeah.
But if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do.
Okay. Well, in a perfect world then, Candace, who would be the person internally? Who would you say, do you need to get somebody separate that's all they do? Or is there, in a lot of practices, there's overlap of roles? Who would be, in your mind, would make for a good person if I can't afford another $50,000, $60,000, position in a practice?
Well, anybody that's close to the physician.
Okay.
Anybody that's close to them, knows the heartbeat of the practice, enjoys marketing, intuitively knows how to video, intuitively knows that marketing is important. Anybody that can take time to create a relationship with a marketing firm.
Mm-hmm.
I would ask them to at least meet with the marketing firm once a week, at least in the beginning phases. Be responsive to email from the marketing firm. In our case, we actually share mobile numbers. They're allowed to text us even on the weekends.
Oh, okay.
Wow. There's sometimes emergencies that happen and you just need that reassurance. So I would say some kind of administrator that isn't overwhelmed, but really knows the heartbeat. It could be even the receptionist. It could be the laser technician. It could be the hydrofacial person.
I think you pointed out the one thing that they have to have either an aptitude or a passion for it.
There you go.
I like it.
That trumps all.
Yeah, that trumps everything.
Yeah.
And you'd be amazed that these people that are in a practice that live and do everything on social media, they get it.
Yes.
Yet the practice had no idea. I had no idea that you were so into, all this stuff. Well, no one ever said anything. I never really knew. But I think when you say take inventory of our people and learn about our people, you're going to uncover some of those things.
The creative.
You're going to say,
yeah,
wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
You would be great in this position.
If you think about it, if you have a task list and you don't enjoy doing something, it's going to be at the bottom of your list.
Yeah,
I don't want to be on anybody's list, right? So I don't care what she or he does at the practice, just so long they enjoy marketing and they have a decent aesthetic eye.
Right? No, I think that's good advice. Candace, I'm going to let you close with. I love your, just our relationship. You're one of those guiding lights that I even see in your social media. You do a lot of inspirational things, post a lot of inspirational things. I find you kind of a shining light in an industry and at a time that sometimes it's, it's not so fun. We can be drugged down by a lot of things. I'm just going to ask off the top of your head, what would be a parting message that you would want us to walk away from this session from? Because I can't, if I ask that to somebody else, I know they would go, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but you're filled with them.
I've got two that I'm
Okay.
going to just briefly talk about. I like to follow the KISS formula. Keep it simple.
Okay.
So like we're overachievers, right? And most of plastic surgeons are overachievers. So I know that if I can fit the marketing plan on a 5x7 index card for the month, I don't care how small you write,
Right.
but if it can fit on a 5x7, it's probably doable.
Okay.
If it's 20 pages long, no.
Mhm.
So keep it simple.
Great idea.
Next is kindness really isn't considered marketing, but it sure does go a long way.
No, I don't, I think it is absolutely, it should be an underlying spirit that in your messaging, your relationships
Yeah,
with
I've
patients.
got an example of that.
Yeah.
Nordstrom's, they're known for their relationship marketing.
Uh-huh.
There was once a lady that took a used car tire back
Uh-huh.
to Nordstrom's.
Oh.
They don't sell
They
car
don't sell
tires,
tires.
but they took it. They took it.
They took it. Wow. Okay.
Isn't that incredible?
That's I don't think I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, me either.
Well, kindness. I like it.
Kindness.
I like it. Well, Candace, thank you again for sharing your insights. I do have, I will be posting some information about you and as well as some of your resources. But what's a good way for people to get in touch with you if they'd like to learn more about the planning guide or just really kind of the stuff that you guys offer? What's a good way of getting a hold of you?
Sure. The best way probably is to call the office, 877-384-7676.
Okay.
Or email me directly, and that's CANDACE@CANDACECROWE.com.
Okay, super. Candace, thank you again. And I'd like to do schedule another one of these conversations, maybe even after we kind of start coming to some of these conventions, maybe we can do one live at one of the meetings.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Miami.
Yeah. Hey, okay. Miami.
Neck of the woods.
Yeah.
Bring your bicycle.
I'll bring my bicycle and my swim cap.
There you go, and your swim cap.
Okay, Candace. Have a great afternoon. And
thank you. You too, Phil. Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for the MedShark Insider with Bill Fukui. Join us next week for another dive into all things medical marketing. All episodes can be streamed at www.medsharkdigital.com/MedShark-Insider.